Good evening, I am Cynthia Ng. You are tuning in to AWANI Tonight. Vehicle inspection services will be open to all qualified parties once Puspakom's concession ends on August 31st next year. Transport Minister Anthony Loke says the Cabinet had made the decision on March 17th as it wanted to promote a competitive vehicle inspection industry.
Ketetapan ini bermakna pihak Puspakom tidak lagi akan menjadi penyedia tunggal perkhidmatan pemeriksaan berkala kenderaan motor bagi pihak Jabatan Pengangkutan Jalan bermula pada 1 September 2024. Bagi melaksanakan keputusan ini, Kementerian Pengangkutan bersama JPJ akan membangunkan syarat-syarat kelayakan, peraturan pengoperasian, skop perkhidmatan, penetapan lokasi pemeriksaan dan garis panduan bagi pihak-pihak lain yang berminat menyediakan perkhidmatan pemeriksaan kenderaan motor.
Puspakom is Malaysia's first and only comprehensive national vehicle inspection company, appointed by the government in 1994 to undertake all mandatory inspections for both commercial and private vehicles. Loke said those interested in providing such services would be invited to send applications in the first quarter of 2024. He added that the government would not subsidize building their system and that these companies must fulfill the criteria set by the ministry and JPJ.
Malaysia's inflation rate stood at 3.7% in February, the same level as in the previous month. According to the Department of Statistics, increases in the prices of various items such as food and beverages, household necessities and healthcare products continue to drive the inflation rate. However, an easing in transport costs has helped to keep the rate steady.
On a monthly basis, the Consumer Price Index CPI rose by 0.2% from January to February. The inflation rate for the first 2 months of 2023 was up from 2.3% in the same period last year. Chief Statistician Datuk Seri Muhammad Uzair Mahidin said the price increases were driven by higher prices in restaurants and hotels, as well as food and non-alcoholic beverages. In February, prices rose for 452 out of 552 items in the index, or about 82%. Among these, the prices of 44 items increased by more than 10%. Compared to other countries in the Asia-Pacific region, Malaysia's February inflation was higher than Japan's, but lower than the Philippines, Indonesia, South Korea and Thailand. Malaysia's inflation was also lower than the Eurozone's 8.5%, UK's 10.4%, and US's 6%.
The number of tuberculosis TB cases in Malaysia has risen by 17%, with the number of deaths up by 12% in 2022 compared to 2021. On World Tuberculosis Day, Health Minister Dr. Zaliha Mustafa urges for more awareness on the disease to help achieve Malaysia's goal of ending TB by 2035.
The number of cases reported in 2022 was 25,391, compared with 21,727 reported a year earlier. As for the total number of deaths due to TB, Malaysia recorded 2,572 cases in 2022, compared with 2,288 deaths in 2021. To reduce the risk of death, Dr. Zaliha advised for those with TB symptoms such as coughing for over 2 weeks, fever, night sweats, loss of appetite, weight loss and coughing up blood to seek early treatment. She also reminded the public that it was an offence under the Prevention and Control of Infectious Diseases Act 1988, Act 342, to stop or refuse treatment for TB. The World Health Organization estimated that the incidence rate for the illness in Malaysia was 97 out of every 100,000 individuals.
Former CEO of Astro, Dr. Rohana Roshan, has returned $10 million in assets reportedly linked to 1MDB, and that the assets have been channeled to the government of Malaysia. MACC Chief Commissioner Tan Sri Azam Baki has confirmed the matter to Astro AWANI.
A source told Astro AWANI that Rohana returned the assets to the MACC last year after the Commission completed its investigation into the case. The source added that the investigation had found that Rohana had no knowledge of the source of funds linked to the 1MDB embezzlement by former Goldman Sachs partner Tim Leissner. On Thursday, Law and Institutional Reform Minister Datuk Seri Azalina Osman Said, in a written reply in Parliament, said that the Attorney General's chambers were unaware if Rohana had returned the $10 million.
Kereta Api Tanah Melayu Berhad KTMB will provide 4 additional electric train services ETS in conjunction with this year's Aidilfitri and Labour Day. KTMB said the additional train tickets went on sale starting today at 10 a.m.
The additional train services involve 2 routes for KL Central Padang Besar KL Central, as well as 2 more for KL Central Butterworth KL Central. The additional services offer over 1,200 tickets per day, with a total of 13,860 tickets, including business class coaches. Operations for the additional ETS for both routes will be from April 19 to 25th, involving 14 services with each offering 4,410 tickets. Departure times for the additional ETS on April 19 for the KL Central to Padang Besar route is at 11 a.m. for Padang Besar to KL Central and 5:05 p.m. for KL Central to Padang Besar, while departure for the KL Central to Butterworth route is at 11:40 a.m. for Butterworth to KL Central and 4:40 p.m. for KL Central to Butterworth.
The PPR project is meant to provide transitional housing for the urban poor. But what if households are unable to move due to an unaffordable private market? On Consider This, we ask our guest about the cracks in Malaysia's social housing policy and private market failures. Greenpeace Malaysia is calling for better environmental protection on behalf of vulnerable communities affected by the climate crisis. Our correspondent Faye Kwan shares more on board the Greenpeace Rainbow Warrior.
I am currently on board the Greenpeace Rainbow Warrior, one of the 3 ships by Greenpeace that has been sailing the world's oceans in the fight for climate justice. Ting Siu Xuan, Senior Program Manager of Greenpeace Southeast Asia, tells us more as the ship docks for the 2nd time in Port Klang.
Currently, we have three demands. One is we need a Transboundary Haze Act or a Clean Air Act. So currently, our air pollution standards is still behind what WHO required. So we hope that the government can look into it. And also, as I mentioned, Climate Change Act, we need a new Climate Change Act so that we can put everyone who is working on carbon reduction or carbon credit or anything about climate change, we can put all these department and agencies together under one framework. And the 3rd one, I think the low-hanging fruit is to revise the Environmental Quality Act. Because currently, for us, environment issue is like a mountain, but it's like a mountain like an ocean. But then the Climate Change Act can only is so outdated. It cannot solve a lot of climate environmental issues caused by the modernization and industrializations.
The Rainbow Warrior last docked in Port Klang in 2018, a year after Greenpeace launched its first office in Kuala Lumpur. Captain of the ship, Jose Barbabadia, shares the significance of its presence in Malaysia.
The Rainbow Warrior is the iconic ship of Greenpeace, so it's important for Malaysian office the representation that Rainbow Warrior does for the office here. The other Rainbow Warriors, they were different ships. They are not the ship, but we are called the same. There was the Rainbow Warrior 1 that was sunk, then the Rainbow Warrior 2 that was a sailing boat also, and now the Rainbow Warrior 3 that is a sailing boat. They are different, but they share the name for a symbolic purpose.
Let's go for a quick break. Stay tuned for more.
Saya ingin bebaskan rambut saya. Ya, lakukannya. Walau apa pun anda lakukan, jangan risau. Sunsilk Baharu dengan vitamin C, minyak argan dan elastin dalam Active Infusion. Untuk rambut lembut mengurai dengan haruman berpanjangan. Bebaskan rambut cantik anda dengan Sunsilk Baharu.
Both American and South Korean prosecutors are seeking the extradition of cryptocurrency founder Do Kwon, who was arrested in Montenegro on Thursday. Kwon is wanted by both countries for orchestrating a cryptocurrency fraud that wiped out at least $40 billion in market value last year.
U.S. regulators accused Kwon, a South Korean national, and his company Terraform Labs of orchestrating a crypto asset securities fraud. Kwon founded the blockchain platform behind the Terra USD stablecoin and its sister coin Luna. Both coins lost their value in a matter of days in May 2022, wiping out $40 billion of investors' money and sending shockwaves through global crypto markets. In South Korea, Kwon is wanted for violating the country's Capital Markets Act. According to Montenegro's Interior Ministry, Kwon was detained with a friend at the country's airport with forged documents on a flight to Dubai. In September, Seoul prosecutors asked Interpol to place him on its red notice list and also revoke his passport.
China's foreign ministry today said it would never ask companies to illegally collect data and urged the U.S. to stop cracking down on Chinese firms. This comes after TikTok CEO Shou Ziqiu faced nearly 5 hours of questioning at a U.S. congressional hearing on Thursday as a possible ban on the app in the U.S. looms.
Tough questions were thrown at Shou from U.S. lawmakers over concerns about the app's data privacy practices and its potential ties to the Chinese government, as the company is owned by a Chinese firm, ByteDance. TikTok has also been accused of promoting harmful content, such as encouraging childhood eating disorders, drugs, and sexual exploitation. Shou repeatedly denied the app shares data or has connections with the Chinese Communist Party. TikTok also pledged to relocate the 150 million U.S. user data to domestic servers through Project Texas, allowing U.S. firm Oracle to monitor the app's source code.
Now, I'm going to make 4 commitments to this committee today and all our users in this country. Number 1, we're going to prioritize safety, particularly for teenagers, and we're going to keep it a top priority for us. Second, we're going to firewall off protected U.S. data from any unwanted foreign access. 3, we commit to keep TikTok free, a free place for freedom of expression without any manipulation by any government. And 4th, we're committing to transparency and we're committing to third-party monitoring. We will give them access to keep us accountable for our commitments that we're making.
The U.S. government has banned TikTok on government devices, and there is bipartisan legislation backed by 20 U.S. senators to give the Joe Biden administration the ability to ban TikTok in the country. TikTok's Chinese owners were recently asked to divest their stakes or potentially face a ban.
Let's stand here.
Accessibility and affordability remains a barrier for people to seek mental health support. Farihin Ufia, Director of Persatuan Bantuan Kesehatan Mental or Nyawa, discusses ways to overcome this issue.
Our current clinical psychology to population ratio is 1 in 980,000, whereas the ideal ratio, according to WHO's recommendations, is 1 in 5,000. So we have a long way to go. In terms of our counselors, our current ratio is 1 counselor to every 52,000 people. And the recommendation from WHO is 1 to 500. So again, so I guess the root problem of accessibility and affordability is actually scarcity. And so in that way, we really need to build up our mental health workforce. So how do we do this? How do we actually solve the problem? I would say that the best way would be through strategic education policies that encourage and enable people to pursue undergraduate and postgraduate degrees in these areas. So this can be done through simply promoting this or increasing allocations for students and programs, also funding and scholarship in these areas.
Catch the full conversation on astroawani.com with new episodes of It's About Youth out every Friday at 10:30 p.m.
That wraps up Awani Tonight. I'm Cynthia and thank you for watching and good night.